Hi everyone, this is Matt Kimmerer with KCSB Sports. We're here with head coach of the UC Santa Barbara baseball team, head coach Andrew Checketts. Coach, thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. If you wouldn't just mind introducing yourself, maybe giving like a quick 2 or 3 sentence introduction, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Andrew Checketts is my 14th season here at UCSB, so 25th year in coaching, and we're looking forward to a good season and lucky to be a Gaucho.
And how was your last season's performance influence the team's approach and mindset going into this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some standards that have been set by previous teams and players, and some expectations that come with that, and some of that level of success. But every year's a new team. It's a new team, a new group. We lost quite a few players off last year's team. We lost 7 of our 9 starting position players and 2 of our starting pitchers and our closer. So it's a new group. We have a talented group coming back. I think the expectations for the group always are to try and win the conference championship and go to a regional and have College World Series aspirations. But ultimately it's about how good can we be as a team and how can we develop as a team, and so you have to reset a little bit every year and say last year was last year and this is this year. It's a new group of guys, and we're going to move forward. We understand what the standard here and the expectations are from the history, but in general it's really about how good can this team be.
And you mentioned you have a lot of new guys on the team this year. Do you look to incorporate them into the rotations and the lineups kind of quickly, or kind of nudge them in since this is a fairly new team?
Well, the position player side of it, some guys are going to get thrown to the wolves. I mean, it's we've got a lot of open holes there. We've got some transfers that will come in and play right away. We have some returning guys that'll be in there. We have a few freshmen that are in the mix. So there'll be some new faces in there that day one are gonna get opportunities. And on the mound, we have quite a few returners coming back. Even though we lost some guys, we still have some guys with some experience. They just might be in different roles. Guys that maybe were relievers last year will transition to starting roles, and then we'll have some younger guys in the bullpen. But there's going to be a lot of opportunities for guys based on the amount of innings and at bats we lost, and there's going to be guys that we're going to need to perform right away.
And compared to your 2024 season, which was a phenomenal winning season, by the way, one of the highest winning seasons for UC Santa Barbara baseball, my question for you is, who do you think will be your toughest opponent in this upcoming 2025 season?
Right now, it's Campbell on Friday. I think that's going to be our toughest opponent. All cliches aside, I think the conference is competitive this year. It's hard to pick one team out. We haven't looked into scouting reports yet, so it's hard to know exactly who's going to be good. But I think the typical teams in the Big West that will be there, and will be good. We've got a couple new coaches in the league, so we'll have new styles of play there. So I know that's kind of avoiding the question, but I think the reality of it is whoever we're getting ready to play is going to be the toughest opponent, and I think the conference is going to be competitive this year.
And one of my questions is, with being like a coach, is like everyone, all the players like rely on you to for every play, or if they are struggling, they always want to come to you. I'm guessing for the big influence you have on them. And my question is, what is something you always tell your players to to keep them motivated throughout a tough season, or what do you just tell them to encourage them throughout the season?
Well, I don't play, so ultimately they have to go make the plays, and as a coach, the success on the field is reliant on having some talent and good players, and there's a recruiting aspect to what we do as well that factors in a lot to what the scoreboard says. But the reality of is we try to practice like it's life or death, with that level of detail and intensity and care, and then you try and play like it's a wiffle ball game, and the results don't matter. And having the ability to in competition kind of analyze what happens very quickly and move past it and get to whatever that next play or pitch is is what really we ultimately want them to be able to do. Now, at the end of a weekend or the end of a game, we have to analyze and make decisions and evaluate what did we do well, what didn't we do well, game plan those adjustments that we want to make for practice, and then go drill those things and try and get better at those things. But ultimately, we want our players to go for it when they're out there on the field, and to be present and to be in the moment, and be able to let go of past mistakes. And I think the guys that have the ability to do that end up performing to the level of their training.
Yeah. Great. Thanks so much. So, Coach, I just had 2 questions for you. The first one being, you obviously talked about 7 of your starters, regular starters from last year, departing, whether that be due to graduation or the Major League Draft. Do you think that lack of continuity might be a bit of a struggle for some of your guys at first? I know a lot of these guys this year are either transfers or incoming freshmen. So do you think an entirely new starting lineup might be a little bit of a difficult adjustment for you guys?
I hope not. But yeah, the transition to Division I baseball can be challenging for guys, and sometimes you even look at last year's season. We had a very experienced lineup. We dealt with some field stuff and some travel stuff, and we weren't great halfway through the season. I mean, we were, I think, 5-4 at one point in conference play, and didn't come out and play really well. And we had to develop and get better and improve. And so there'll be some of that as well, and there'll be some different lineups that we need to put out there, and we'll have to put some guys in different situations as we kind of settle in on what those final lineups will end up looking like. So yeah, I mean, there could be some bumps in the road early for sure. That's part of the game. But we do feel like we've got a talented group that should be able to handle that. And we've had years in the past before where we've had a lot of turnover, and then the next year have been able to put successful teams out on the field. In fact, the 15 team, I think, very similar to this, where we lost 2 of our starting pitchers. Dylan Tate was the first pick in the draft. Justin Hakame was the 5th rounder. Dominic Mazza, we went undefeated on midweeks that year. He ended up graduating. We lost 7 of our 9 position players, and the next year we went to the World Series. So we thought we had a bunch of new players, and it was going to be a younger group, and they were able to come in and perform at a high level. So we're hopeful that something like that happens again. But there's always a maturing process to your team throughout the year, and there's bumps, and you got to be able to handle those bumps, and like I said earlier, kind of move on and get to that next day and that next play.
And my follow-up to that is, obviously the team was really well-rounded last year. You guys had one of the best, if not the best, starting rotation in the entire Big West and maybe even the country. But also the lineup was just phenomenal, top to bottom as well. You guys had Jessica Brown, Aaron Parker, Jonathan Mendez, Nick Oakley, amongst many other guys that played for you. So I have kind of a 2-part question to that. One being, there's a few guys coming back this year that had some season-ending injuries, Corey Nunez and Hudson Barrett being amongst them. Do you see those 2 or anyone else coming back this year slotting up and really taking on a much bigger role, or really being a huge presence, whether that be in the lineup or on the mound? And second, do you think there's an area of the field that's really going to thrive this year, whether that be on the mound or at the plate, or if that's maybe the outfield or something, for example? But I was just curious to see your opinion about that.
Well, yeah, I think you mentioned the 2 guys that have a chance to come back from injury and make a big impact. Corey ended up having elbow surgery at the end of the year. He's back. He's healthy. He started as a freshman his freshman year, which is difficult to do, especially for position players, and had a successful year. So we're looking forward to having him back in the middle and feel like he's going to be a key contributor. Hudson's probably not going to be ready until about the middle of the year based on the type of surgery that he had and the timing of that. But we're hopeful that we can get his feet wet and midway through the year, get his feet wet a little bit, and then he can give us a little bit of a push later on towards the, hopefully a postseason run at the end of the year. But, he was the freshman pitcher of the year in the conference. He's a draft prospect. He's got a chance to really give us a shot in the arm halfway through the season. And then Hayden Hattenbach, who was back last year, but really wasn't back to his old self, like he was before he got injured. He had a good fall for us. We're looking forward to him to making more contributions this year.
Awesome. Do you guys have any other questions or anything else you want to ask Coach?
I just wanted to ask about your I want to ask about your home record last year, and you guys like to play at home with, an astonishing record at 27-2 at home. Do you think the fans' energy has a lot to do with the home play success?
Yeah, our ballpark's a little on the smaller side, but it's also really intimate, and it's the field. It's on top of you. It's got 2 layers to it, so 500-600 people here feels like quite a few people, and even we saw that in the regional with 1,700-1,800 people. It felt like a lot more than that and was loud. So yeah, I think there's something to that, but I think there's also something to sleeping in your own bed, going through your normal routine. And I think there's a part of that that's in general, their home field advantage is a home field advantage for a reason. And last year was unique, all of the drama that we had with the field in the fall, not having somewhere to practice, missing a lot of home games and those opportunities. I felt like we built up some karma there and cashed in on that karma once the season got going. We went undefeated during the regular season at home, and it's hard to do that without a lot of bounces going your way. I mean, you can be good and talented and play well, but you also have some bounces and some things go your way, and it felt like a lot of that happened for us last year.
I know you guys hosted regionals for the first time last year, and you had a heartbreaking loss against Oregon. But a little bit of a hypothetical question. Do you think if you find your way back to the regionals and having to face Oregon, do you think your guys now with experience coming back are able to beat a team like Oregon and advance and hopefully get to Omaha?
Yeah, I think the more times you can get to the postseason, the more experience you have in your dugout with guys that have been there and done that, the easier it is to push through. In that 15 team I mentioned before, we went 2-0 in the Elsinore regional that we hosted, but our facility wasn't able to host it, so we went down there. And we did lose a lot of guys, but we had a core group of returners. We had Shane Bieber on that team, we had Kyle Nelson on that. We had J.J. Muno on that team, and their experience there, I think, helped that next year, when we got into the postseason, and allowed us to have some guys in the dugout that had been there and been in that moment before.
I also have another question. Being a coach also takes a lot of hard work and dedication, and I just want to know, what is your favorite thing about being a coach here?
Well, I mean, my favorite things about Santa Barbara, obviously the weather and the beach, and my commute from work, which is about 10 minutes on a walk, bike, or drive, because I live in Goleta. So I really enjoy the lifestyle. I enjoy the lifestyle of Santa Barbara. I love the campus. I like getting in the water, so I feel fortunate to get to coach baseball in this environment, and I think most people that go to school here appreciate it and appreciate where they live. And I've never run into an alum anywhere that goes, man, I went to UCSB and I didn't like it. I just haven't run into that. So we get to experience that, and my family gets to experience that, and I've got 3 kids that have gone to Ivy Elementary, and so I think all of that stuff really I really enjoy. And then I think from an athletic department, I think there's a little mom and pop to this. There's a little blue collar, do it the hard way, find a way. We have some limitations from an infrastructure standpoint, and they're creating an attitude of a no excuse attitude, where we're going to find a way, and we're going to find a way to improve the program every day that we can, whether that's through fundraising or coaching or recruiting. Those are the 3 buckets that we can work on, and I think there's some enjoyment and satisfaction to being able to build something.
I know that you're a catcher. Mm-hmm. If you could give advice to younger catchers who want to play college baseball, of course, what would you say, kind of guide them through that?
Okay, yeah. I mean, so based off of my, experience as a younger guy when I first started college baseball, I would say the biggest thing was, be open to learning from others. I thought that I knew everything, and that just happened to be not the case. And I would also say, don't be afraid to, use your voice. As a catcher, you see the whole field, you got to be a captain and a general out there, honestly. So I would say, don't be afraid to use your voice. We have a saying out here that whenever we're doing, drills or stuff, if you're going to be wrong, be loud doing it. It's okay to, make mistakes as long as you're learning from them, but be loud doing it. Don't be timid. So that would be my biggest piece of advice is honestly, be loud, be a leader, and be open to learning everything.
I mean, you just mentioned, being a catcher, you kind of have to be the general of this team. But other than that, what are you looking to bring to the team this upcoming season?
Yeah, so as an older guy, I've experienced a lot of different things. I've seen a lot of different stuff. So for this team, honestly, aside from the actual playing aspect, I want to be a good leader for this squad. We do have a lot of talented leaders, and I've learned a lot from them out here. And I just want to be, someone who can really, that other people on the team can kind of lean on and, ask for advice. And, not just from, a catching perspective, but, just from outside of baseball, someone needs, help with family advice. I want to be there for someone, academic, any of the above. I just want to be, just the best possible teammate and human being I can be.
Compared to your performance last year in baseball, how do you expect to do this season in the 2025 baseball season?
Yeah, so based off of last year going into this season, I actually feel very, very confident about my abilities this year. I've been very, very blessed to be in this situation here with Coach Checketts, Coach Fontino, Coach Hunt, Coach Jones, and Coach Tillotson. So I think that I'm in a very good position to have a lot of success this year. I think the biggest thing that I've really developed in would be like the physical aspect. I'm a lot stronger, a lot more physical now, and I think I just have more knowledge of the game itself. So, I'm expecting to have a good year this year, but I can't do it without my teammates. They've been really helpful. A lot of older guys have really guided me through different situations, and I feel very comfortable going into the season.
Following up on that question, what is an area of improvement that you think you will most likely work on the most this season?
Yeah, so an area of improvement I want to work on the most this year is honestly just having fun. Sometimes I think that I put a little bit of pressure on myself, and that's a good thing. I think that it shows I care, but at the same time I do think that I need to be able to not turn that into fears. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a fear. It's more so put that pressure on myself to do well. It's more so just going out there and having fun. I want to be very present, be where my feet are at, and just understand that it's a game and it's meant to be fun. So I would say that I just want to have as much fun as I possibly can this year while also taking it very, very seriously and very professionally.
I just wanted to ask, why do you play baseball? Because I'm pretty sure everyone, even in different sports, everyone has different reasons to play all these beautiful sports. So I just want to know why do you play baseball?
Yeah, so growing up, the reason why I loved baseball was just because it was a fun sport that I really could connect with friends and family on. But as I've really grown older, I know a lot of people say you learn a lot of valuable life lessons out of sports, but I truly do think that I've learned a lot of lessons. It's created a lot of discipline in me. It's created a lot of good habits. And it honestly has taught me a lot of things on pursuing passions and being knowing that hard work pays off, because I do think that, especially ever since I've moved down here to Santa Barbara, that ever since I've really devoted all of my time and effort into one thing, I've seen other things grow as well. I know that my study habits for school have gotten really, really good down here. I'm doing everything I can to be the best possible student, best possible baseball player. And so I do think that baseball just really, transforms you into a better person. And, it's more than just, that physical aspect, versus other sports where, sometimes the most physical person wins or the most talented. Baseball is a sport where it's any given day, You could be the best player out there, but if you don't show up with the right mindset, then, you're not going to be the best player out there. So I like that, it teaches you to, just be where your feet are at, and just appreciate every single moment you get.
So just a follow-up question to that. So as someone who caught a little bit in high school, I mainly played outfield, so it's obviously very different. But I was wondering, obviously as a catcher, familiarity with your pitching staff is a huge component to being able to understand sequencing, what type of pitches guys like in certain scenarios and whatnot. is there anything you're expecting to be kind of difficult in terms of, getting used to these guys and getting used to your pitching staff? And a follow-up to that is there anyone on this pitching staff that you're really excited to catch? Obviously, it's headlined by guys such as, Tyler Bremner's coming back. Obviously, Cole Triba and Jackson Flora had incredible freshman rookie seasons, but there's also guys coming back from injury towards probably the middle of the year, such as like a Hudson Barrett. So is there anything that, you're kind of expecting over the course of this year?
Yeah, so to, kind of reiterate on the first question, I would say that, I wouldn't necessarily say I have, any problems going into this year with the pitching staff. I think that during the fall, our coaches did a very good job of getting us very familiar with all the different pitchers, understanding them, and, I made it a priority to make sure I learned them more than just baseball players. Like, I really got to know them off the field, understand their interests away from the field, and just wanted to really understand, like, what they like, what, helps them. And I've really gotten to understand, like, what cues help them do good versus what cues don't help them do good. Because some players, you can just kind of give them a light pat on the back and be like, hey, just take a deep breath, relax, you're going to be good. And, they get back into it. But then there's other players where you kind of have to be like, all right, take a deep breath here, let's focus on something else. Like, I've told some players, like, I'll go out there and I'll be like, all right, you're good. Like, who are you getting this ground ball to? And they're like, what? And I'm like, no, like, who are you getting this ground ball to? And they're like, Corey over at shortstop. And I'm like, all right, perfect. Let's get this ground ball, turn a double play, and we're out of there. And then sure enough, they get a ground ball and we're out of there. So I think that we've done a very good job at establishing relationships with pitchers. And honestly, I'm very excited to catch our entire pitching staff. I couldn't exactly pinpoint an exact name for you, but I truly appreciate our pitching staff. We're led by very smart coaches with Coach Checketts and Coach Jones. They do a very good job at working with our pitchers, working with them not just on their physical aspect, but their mental aspect as well. And I think our pitchers have done a really good job. They work really hard, and they're very smart. So I'm looking forward to catching a very talented squad, and I know that honestly the sky is the limit for us this year. And I think that with this pitching staff, I do think that we have a chance to, go back to another regional.
Good.
So I asked you before, what leadership role do you see yourself playing this season, and what advice do you have for the younger players or the new players added on this team?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I'm an older player, I'm a senior, I've got some experience, so, I really just try and impart that experience on the younger guys, that may not have as much playing experience. Whenever they need help with something, ask any questions, I try and answer that for them as best I can. And, I'm trying to take more of a leadership role this year. As I've gotten older, I've tried to get better at that each year, and I think it's going to be a good year for us.
And what are your expectations for this season, not only for the team, but just for yourself as a player?
Yeah, so I think for the team, obviously, we want to win the Big West. It's obviously at the forefront of our goals, but I think it's easy to look ahead and do all that stuff. I think, mainly we're just focused on being detailed every day, working as hard as we can in practice, and really getting better every single day. So, for myself, I just want to get better every day, like I said, and, be a leader on the team and help us win some games.
And you transferred currently from UCLA to Santa Barbara, correct?
Yep.
You had a great season in 2023 with UCLA, taking them pretty far. And then 2024, you also had a great season as well. What was your determining factor for deciding to transfer from UCLA to UC Santa Barbara for the 2025 season?
Yeah, obviously the baseball here is really good, and I just wanted to change the scenery and wanted to come somewhere where I could win and really be a part of a winning program. And I think I'm more than happy with my decision and looking forward to being a Gaucho this year.
For being a senior, I'm pretty sure you have gotten many great pieces of advice, or you have learned a lot of stuff throughout the years. And I was wondering, what is the greatest piece of advice someone has giving you, either from a teammate or your coach?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't, specifically name a single person, but I think, something I always try and live by and play by when I'm on the field is, you know, just being mentally present every single pitch. You know, it's easy to look forward and, you know, worry about the results of what's going to happen if I do this or that. But, you know, ultimately it's a tough game, and if you stay focused on your approach and what you're trying to do, it makes it a lot easier.
So obviously you're transferring here from UCLA, where you saw a lot of your power numbers really thrive over there in your 3 years in Westwood. But transitioning here to Caesar Iwasaki Stadium, which is a little bit different in its stadium dimensions, do you see yourself kind of having a big year in terms of power production, or do you think you're just trying to, you know, overall kind of develop your game in an overall hitting sense?
Yeah, you know, I think either one would be great. You know, I'd love to hit for power. I'd love to, you know, develop as a hitter. So I think, you know, the answer is yes to both of those. You know, Caesar's a great place to hit. And, you know, if everything goes right, then, you know, hopefully we'll have a great year.
So being a freshman, what was your first impression of UCSB baseball when you arrived on campus?
Yeah, I mean, I took 2 official visits here, one unofficial, obviously, and got a tour of the campus and everything, and kind of got to know what it was like to, you know, with under Checketts and stuff, and saw a few games here. But yeah, I came into this fall pretty optimistic. I wasn't sure what to expect, and you know, I got here and I've loved it since. Yeah, you know, it's a very well structured program, and you know, college baseball is a lot different than high school, so it was pretty new for me, but I think I adjusted pretty well. And you know, it's a lot of baseball and it's a lot of stuff each day, but I think that's what I'm here for, and I love it. So yeah, it's good stuff.
I mean, this is obviously going to be your first season with this Gauchos team, coming off of, you know, them just hosting the regionals. What role do you hope to play in helping these Gauchos get back to where they need to be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be a team guy. I want to be there for our guys, obviously, and you know, anything we can do to get back to there, win the Big West, and you know, hosting another regional. I think if I can do my job, which is being a great teammate as well as producing as much as I can and being a dog behind the plate and in the box, I think I can do 100% and help give the team my all, and yeah, help bring us back to the Big West champs.
And last season, your senior season in high school, you had a great season with Vintage High School in Napa County. How does it feel to be so far away from home and being here now and adjusting to the baseball program as well as just the college system?
Yeah, no, it's obviously a big transition. I think it was great being home, and you know, being here kind of makes you know miss the idea of family a lot. I'm a big family guy. But yeah, I think it's a good change. I think change helps you develop you as a person. And I think I've really kind of liked that part about it here. And you know, obviously the college experience is a lot different than high school, and I think that's why change is such a good thing. And I think it was a pretty smooth transition for me overall. And you know, it's good to be here representing the Gauchos and you know, playing for great coaches and stuff. So I'm glad I'm here, and you know, there's a lot to come this season. So we'll see.
Being a freshman this year, I'm pretty sure you kind of like struggled, like, you know, also like being a student athlete, and I'm just like wondering, like, we're already in the like winter quarter, and have you been like struggling, or how do you like manage, like, you know, being like a student athlete here?
I think there's a lot of struggles I think that come with being a student athlete. You know, I think I've done pretty well with that, and that just comes with time management and stuff. You know, you have to be able to be on top of your homework. You got to be on top of your game here, obviously, because you're fighting for a starting spot and you're fighting for your job ultimately. And I think if I'm pretty good at managing my food, I'm pretty good at managing my sleep, and then how I do in the classroom, I think that's really important as well, because I don't want to just do well here, but also in life as well. So, you know, obviously this baseball is really important, but at the same time, I want to make sure I got my priorities straight. So, yeah, I think time management for me has been really important, and I I think I'm thriving as of right now, which is good. So I just need to keep it up, especially with this long season ahead. So it should be good.
I just had one follow-up question to that, but obviously you have a lot of great pitchers on this staff. We were talking about it with your teammate Nate Vargas earlier, but obviously Tyler Bremner kind of leads that pack. You also got guys who have gotten some awards, Jackson Flora, Cole Tribe obviously being a few of them. Can you talk a little bit about like the impact those guys have had on you, if any, and if you've been able to learn anything from them so far within this off-season time period?
Yeah, no, a lot. I mean, I went to high school. We didn't have a star-studded staff in high school. We had some good pitchers, but coming from there to these guys, I had a little experience catching guys throwing low to mid 90s and Flora upper 90s as well as Bremner, and I think it was not really a big jump, but it was something different from what I had seen, and I think those guys really kind of took me under their wing and stuff, and really showed me like, hey, it's okay, you're gonna make mistakes, but learn from them. And I think catching those guys made me a lot better player and a lot better catcher. And I think that's the best part about it. You get to learn from probably the best guys and one of the best pitching staffs in the country. So, to be able to catch those guys and learn their stuff and see how they throw and what pitches like works for them, I think learning that is the best part about it. So. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you guys have anything else you want to follow up on?
So obviously we know one of the reasons why you chose to play here was because of the star-studded coaching staff and the winning mentality. But what about Santa Barbara as a community and a city drew you more into choosing UC Santa Barbara?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we got the beach here, and I big fan of the coast and stuff. I really love the ocean. I'm really attached to it. I go to the beach almost every day after practice and just sit and watch the ocean. But I think being here in IV was a great community as well, and just being able to like kind of intertwine like both baseball and the beach and as well as the community. I think that's what I really liked about this, and obviously the campus is beautiful as well. So I just everything about it, I was like, when I first arrived here, I was like, this is a place, and I think I made the right decision for sure. Yeah.
All right. So what adjustments of training helped you achieve such efficiency last year? Going 65 strikeouts in only 47 innings. How did your practice or motivation really help you get there?
I'd say just wait, can you repeat that question? Sorry.
So last season you had a season high 27 appearances, 65 strikeouts and only 47 innings. Mm-hmm. What do you think really got you there? Was that just hard work? Was that did you have a great off season? Was it your teammates who were hyping you up? What really put you at that really good level of play?
Yeah, I would say I took a different approach to recovery. I definitely got more into recovery. My coaches helped me with some exercises I could do to like be able to pitch Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Sunday. And I've never really pitched that much before. I was throwing like twice a weekend. I've never done that before, so I'd say that helped me the most.
A bit of a personal question, but how do you think so far in your tenure here at UC Santa Barbara, how has this Santa Barbara as a program, but as a city, helped you develop not only as a player, but as a person off the field?
I would say, I mean, Santa Barbara's, it kind of reminds me of my home. I'm from Southern California, so I mean, being here is a blessing. I mean, I think, like, I just love being around this coaching staff, like these guys on my team, and like this area is it's beautiful. I love being here, love showing up.
And as a second-year player with a lot of new incoming players and transfers, how do you feel like the team will deal with this new dynamic in this upcoming season? I
think we need to step into a bigger role with like leadership, but I think we're gonna be okay. I think it's gonna be good. Seeing some new faces, some new guys, like the transfers are gonna help out. I see some freshmen getting some innings. I think it's gonna be good.
With being a pitcher, there's like with that comes like a lot of like pressure, like especially during like very tight games where you feel like it all just like depends on like you and like you feel like maybe that you feel like everyone's watching you as well. How do you deal with that pressure, like whenever you're in the game?
Uh, I mean, the way I deal with that pressure is I kind of remember my best outing, and I focus on the good things that helped me in that outing, and just repeating that is kind of like a focal point for me, and I can just recenter my focus no matter how many people are like yelling at me or what's happening. But I think that's the best way I can focus in those types of situations.
So I had two questions. So first one being, you relied a lot on like your fastball slider combo and a lot of your counts last year. Is there anything pitch sequencing wise or in terms of your arsenal that you're trying to develop more this year? Or are you thinking like, nah, like I really like my stuff. I think I might try to stay with that.
Yeah, I definitely was I definitely was fastball slider last year. I did develop a changeup this fall. I think I'm definitely gonna start throwing that more often. Like, cause I was mostly fastball slider, yeah. So, fastball slider changeup. That's gonna be it for this year.
Cool. And just to follow up to that, but you're slated to be the Gaucho Sunday starter this coming season, which is going to be really awesome. Obviously, you guys had an insanely star-studded pitching staff last year. It was, obviously Ryan Gallagher, Mike Gutierrez, and Tyler Bremner in that order. So my follow-up to my question previously was, how do you think it's going to be for you slotting into the starting rotation? Obviously, you had such a huge role thriving in the bullpen coming last year. But do you think it's going to be difficult for you transitioning to the rotation this year, or do you think you'll kind of be just fine?
Yeah. There's definitely big shoes to fill, I would agree, but I think learning from those guys last year, just being around them, like seeing their routines, seeing how they approach things, I think I'm going to be able to achieve that for sure.
Great. You guys got anything else? Or
So I don't know if you watched baseball a lot growing up, but are there any former or past players that you kind of motivate you or model your game after? Any pitchers?
I'll have to think about that one. I mean, I like Kershaw growing up.
Yeah.
I was just like, when I was younger, when I was like 7, 8, 9 years old, I just loved Kershaw. I thought he was like the best, but I'd say that, yeah.
Who are you most excited for this season to catch with? Because you do have some new catchers this season. Who are you looking forward to working with?
I'd say Ian Fernandez. I haven't pitched to him a lot, but I like the kid. He's a good kid. I think he's got some solid skills behind there, and I'm looking forward to him.